Hello. Just going to give a few minutes, see if anybody else wants to join. Oh, we got two. Hope you guys are all excited to do some special effects makeup. I know I am. I love this season. Love it. Let's see. We'll get started in just a minute. Want to give everyone a chance to get here and get settled. So I'm ready for this. I got my fall colors. I got my Halloween nails done. I'm wearing my Hocus Pocus shirt. And to get in the spirit for today, I ate about a pound and a half of candy on my way over. So I'm ready to go. Let's do this. All right. I'm going to talk to you guys today about zombie makeup for zombie boot camp. I'm going to take this off because the lights are making me very warm and the makeup won't stay on my face if I'm too hot. So keep that in mind. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the supplies that you should have to complete a zombie look. Now, I have a small amount of liquid latex here. Actually, I have probably way too much liquid latex. You only need a little bit of this. But I got a little bit here. I got my fake blood, which you can't have a zombie without fake blood. I mean, come on, you need that. This is the blood I'm using. It's Alcone Paramount blood, which is safe to use pretty much anywhere, even in your mouth. But there is a warning on here not to ingest too much of it because it will upset your tummy. I have a little like special effects tower here that's got all the kind of cool zombie colors in there. You know, the greens and that kind of dead grayish looking and that bruisey kind of bleh. And then I have a Miron wheel that has all these nice colors and tones, which is great. I don't know if you could see those. Got that. We got some Q-tips. We've got brushes. We've got tissues, which will come in handy. And I brought in just a couple of extra little kind of contour palette, a powder-based contour palette, and then just a couple of little extra additional cream colors to have if needed. I have a plate here that I'm going to use for my palette because I just like to keep everything kind of disposable when I do these because it tends to get messy. And little dispensers for all the products. So I'm not like dipping in and then using and then dipping in again in case I want to use it for other people. So first things first, remove the glasses. For you guys, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you on my arm how you do kind of that ripped, scrapey zombie skin look. And then I'm going to show you how you can do kind of like a zombie face application with the products I have here, which also I'm going to tell you, some products that you could use at home if you don't have access to kind of like special effects goods, or maybe it's, off season. Maybe you want to do a zombie makeup in March and there's no Halloween stores to go and buy your liquid latex. So there's other things that you can use. All right, so let's get started with our little like arm situation that we're going to do for the zombie skin. This is very simple. Pretty much anybody can do it. I recommend that if you have a lot of hair on your body that you want to, or if you're doing this on someone hairy, you might want to kind of, shave that area first, unless they're not super attached to having that hair. Because when this comes off, it's probably going to take some of it with it, and it's probably going to be a little uncomfortable. So I'm going to do a thin layer, and while that's drying, I'm going to take some tissue, and I'm going to tear up some pieces in irregular shapes. I'm going to avoid using that sharp edge because then it looks like a tissue. Also, I recommend getting tissues that aren't white, but kind of that off-white, beigey tan color that they make. Because that generally looks better on all skin tones. It just adds a little kind of warmth to it. And then I'm going to apply a little more latex over that. And it's okay that it's kind of like crinkling. Oops, see, it's already getting sticky, because that's going to give us that kind of like crepey zombie skin look we want. So I'm just going to spread that out, dry it a little bit more, and grab another piece, another irregular piece, and stack that on there. Sorry if you guys are hearing beeps in the background. Do this. Do another layer. Thin, 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 thin. You don't want it to be too thick. And just as a side note, you don't actually have to use tissue to get that ripped skin effect. You can just use the latex by itself and layer it. I usually do that on my face if I'm using latex on my face, because it's enough to feel the latex on there. I don't necessarily like the layers and layers of tissue as well. But you can kind of do a thin layer and give it kind of like pulls and little holes in it and stuff. And it looks just as cool. But if you want to do like a big kind of gash, tear, zombie bite, something like that, zombie scratch, the latex is always a good way to go. I've even done zombie looks with nothing but, you know, contour and contact lenses, maybe a little bit of fake blood. That's it. So I'm going to press that one in and do this. So I work at a haunted house as well. And 2 years ago, I was a zombie. I wasn't always an actor there. I just did makeup. And then I got kind of roped into acting. And for my zombie character, I literally just did very intense contour, contact lenses, and some fake blood. I didn't bother with latex because I didn't really have a lot of time to do my makeup for that. And I'll tell you, it came out pretty great. And like, people loved it. It looked scary. I got a lot of people that time. I was a zombie bride. It was a lot of fun. Zombie is one of my favorite things to do. I've been doing zombie makeup for a long, long, long time. And, you know, it's fun and it's pretty easy, even if you don't have a ton of experience. So it's nice to, like, if you want to do something kind of special effects, you know, it's in that kind of vein. And especially for Halloween, or maybe you're doing like an event or a film or a play or something like that, and you require like gashes or cuts or anything like this, can all apply, you know, to situations like that. So I'm going to let this just dry a little bit more now, because I did thin layers. This is almost dry already, even though there's multiple layers. It's feeling pretty tacky. See, the thing is, when you touch it, you can still feel a little bit of tack, but I'm not actually sticking to it and I'm not pulling any of it off. So I can tell it's pretty much dry. I just want it to get a little bit more set before I start pulling pieces. And then you can use a tweezer to do this. You can use a toothpick to kind of poke a hole in it. I have long enough nails that I'm just going to kind of go at that and just start tearing little bits for my zombie scratch. You see? And it comes off like, ooh, and it gets like a nice, like that. That looks pretty cool. And what I like about leaving a little pocket here is that you can stuff like some cotton soaked in blood or some tissue soaked in blood in there, and it gives it more dimension. It kind of lifts it a little bit, makes it look a little bit more like there's an actual like skin tear and you're seeing like the adipose tissue underneath or something. It looks pretty cool. So now I'm just going to grab some color. I have my little contour and corrector palette here, and this is not, you know, an expensive one because I use it mostly for situations like this. It's, you know, from CVS. It's, you don't have to have, especially doing like basic special effects stuff for fun or at home, you don't have to spend a ton of money. You don't have to order a whole bunch of crazy stuff from the internet. Like, sure, if you know how to use those things and you want to, that's great, but it's not required. As long, all it takes is a little bit of creativity. Put a little happy little skin tone right there. And then just kind of add a little more color here. So the latex I'm using is what's considered like a flesh tone light. That's what I happen to have. It does come in different colors. If you buy it at someplace like Spirit Halloween or whatever, usually you're only going to get that basic latex color, which is kind of like an off-white. This has a little bit more of a pink tone to it, and companies like Alcone do make it in different shades for people with all different skin types and skin tones, which is great. So I'm just kind of lightly brushing on some color just to help it blend a little bit more to my skin, because this has a very pink tone, and I know the color is probably not great on this screen, but I have a very olive tone to my skin. So I'm just trying to balance that out a little bit. So I'm actually adding a little bit of like a contour color, and I'm adding a little bit of a green corrector just to kind of help it meld a little bit better with me. And now here's an important thing too. You want to take a dark color. I'm going to use like a dark brown first, and I'm going to go under that little like skin flap that we've created. That word makes me so nauseous saying it. That skin flap. Sounds gross. I'm going to put that in there. Just going to color it a little bit more underneath just to give it a little extra warmth. Okay. You can also use, like if you're doing this on your face, you can use your regular foundation. Generally it's not a problem unless you have some kind of like crazy type of makeup you're using that doesn't like sit well on top, but otherwise it really shouldn't be an issue. Pretty much anything will cover, especially anything with a cream base, covers really nicely. And then I'm going to take just like this dark kind of brownish reddish tone, and I'm going to go right in there to give it depth. The good thing about zombie makeup is if you have a couple of brushes, you're set. Like you really don't have to worry about cleaning them off too much in between colors. And this is all my own makeup that I just use for me. So I'm obviously going back into it. If you're using, makeup on somebody else, you're going to want to dispense onto a palette and then use from the palette and not touch into here. But because it's my makeup and it's me and it's my brushes and they don't touch anybody but me, it's okay. COVID or not, these are general, makeup rules. You don't want to cross-contaminate people and stuff. So there we go. Do we see how that's kind of like, I got a boo-boo on my arm. Looks gross. There we go. I'm going to get the edges a little bit more. Kind of see. Now this isn't perfect. This is the nature of using the latex with the tissue. You're going to get that like crepiness. It's just going to happen. There's, if you do the latex by itself, you can kind of control that a little bit better. But once you get tissue under there, it really kind of gives a texture to it. And there's not much you can do about that other than, roll with it. It's not terrible. Now let's get some of the blood. Actually, before I get the blood, I'm going to take a little bit of this bruise tone. And I borrowed this from someone, so I'm not dipping into that. I'm dispensing it onto a little plate. And I'm going to take my bruise tone and I'm going to just get in there with that just to add a little bit more of that purpley kind of reddish, look that a wound like this would have. And if you wanted to get really crazy with it, let's say you're super creative. Let's say you've done the latex zombie before, you've taken this class before, you've come to this workshop for the past like 5-6 years. And you've gotten to that more advanced stage, you can still start with this. And then you can get yourself like an alcohol palette from Skin Illustrator. And you can go in there with all those fine lines and details and vein tones and come up with something really cool and really interesting. You can use Third Degree, which is a silicone-based product. You mix it part 1, part 2 in equal parts, or parts A and B in equal parts. And then you can apply that to the skin. That's also good if you're allergic to latex or if you're doing makeup on somebody who's allergic to latex. But conversely, let's say you're new to this and, this is your first time doing it and you're like, oh, geez, I don't have any liquid latex. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get any. You know what you can use? Eyelash glue. I have done a full face of zombie makeup on someone using just eyelash glue and eyeshadow. So sometimes you're in a pinch and you know, somebody's like, oh my God, I need something done right away, which I mean, for Halloween is pretty rare, but it has happened. It happened to me. They were going to a party. They needed a look real quick. I didn't have any of my special effects makeup with me. So what did I do? We had lash glue, the regular white tube, you know, the one that contains latex. I applied that directly to their skin. I let it set. I applied another layer. I let it set. I tore it up like I did with this. And then I used different tones of eyeshadows and contour to just kind of give them that sunken in zombie look, which is really what I'm going to show you next on my own face. But I wanted you to get a visual for how you do the latex with the tissue. See this? Not bad, right? Easy peasy. See, that didn't take long at all. And if I wasn't talking so much, it would have been even quicker. There you go. That's how you do that. All right. I'm going to try to do my face without getting this all over myself now that I have it on my arm. All right. So first things first. Now I have makeup on, as you can probably tell. I don't know. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. I have a full face of makeup on. Why? Because just because you're a zombie and you're dead doesn't mean you can't look drop dead gorgeous, right? So for this, I like my contour palette that I have, like this one. It's got everything from like the darkest black to like a light brown. This is just like a cheap, again, but it's the colors that I need in a decent quantity. And since I do a lot of special effects makeup each year, and I do a lot of makeup on myself for the season each year, I bought one of these. You might not need these colors all of the time, but I needed them in a larger amount. So I have that. I have my latex, which maybe I'll do a couple of spots just to show you how that works on its own. And then if I can manage to get them into my eyes, I have contact lenses for the finishing touch. So you don't have to do contact lenses. That's optional, but you can if you'd like to. If you guys have any questions, I have the chat turned on, so feel free to pop a question in there. If I notice it, I don't have my glasses on, but if I see it pop up, I will answer you. Okay, let's get this started. So I have my regular makeup on. I'm gonna just push my hair aside. I'm gonna kind of like give myself a little bit more space to work with. Okay, there we go. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do actually is I'm going to start with all of my contour, and then I'm going to go and add some latex spots, and it will stick. I haven't had a problem with it in the past with having makeup on and then putting latex on top of it. Of course, unless you have exceptionally oily skin, or you're using an oil on your face, or you have a foundation that's like really, got a lot of silicone in it or something, you might have a problem. But I haven't had an issue with it. So this is where it comes in handy to be a little bit like artsy, right? So I already had a base of makeup on, but now I'm gonna go in here. It helps to be a little artsy, and it helps to have a working knowledge or a basic background knowledge in the structure of the human skull, because the way you're gonna get this to work is really by playing up those parts where the bones are sunken and protruding. So, if you know anything about contour, you think about like if a light were to be right above your head, which the majority of the lights in here are, except for this big one I have right here. You go from where the light hits, you figure the light hits here. So where is there a shadow? Where there's a dimple, where there's a dimple, where there's like, recessions in the face. And for the eyes, for zombie, the really heavy contour in here is like a must. You can't not do this. You need this. It gives you that sunken look. That really, really sunken in, like dead look. Dead for a while look. At least partially dehydrating. Sorry if any of this is gross to you, but we are talking about zombies here. Then you want to get a little bit under here. And really what I'm doing is just accentuating the dark circles that I normally have, which are hereditary, because I've done everything in the world to get rid of them and I can't. So just gonna work with them. least they're good for one time a year, right? And under there, under here, up this way. Really get in there. Really want to like make this as narrow in here as possible. And when you're doing zombie, like it could help if you're going to do it seriously, like if you're serious about special effects and you're serious about achieving these kind of horror looks, you might have to look at some medical reference photos. If you don't have a strong stomach, if you have, if you're easily triggered for nightmares, I don't recommend that. You know, unless you can really separate yourself from it and figure, you know, notice that it's all medical. It's all for, you know, science and medicine and art. Okay, so here we go. Now I got that. Now, I like to get the eyes done first. I like to get that in there and a little bit under there. I don't have to go crazy with that. I can always go back with it. And then I'm going to get my contour in here, right? But watch this, because I'm going to cut this area right here and then bring it down right there. See that? Like I'm waiting for you to answer me like I can hear anybody. Okay, same on this side here. Bring it across. Pretty even. And then cut it down right there. Cut it down like that. And I'm using like the darkest brown in here. And then I like to go back in with the black and just kind of like add that where I need to. And then I'm just going to kind of fade it down a little bit like this. I like to use powder for this. Can you use cream? Absolutely. I'm a little bit more comfortable with powder personally, but if you can use cream to do this, then that's great. Go for it. Okay. And then here, you see this little indent here? Get that, that. And then I like to get the corners of the mouth. Corners of the mouth. Sorry, I didn't pronounce that properly because I was like painting my face at the same time. But yeah, I always do that. Like really just get in there. Like that. Just get in there with that. We see how this is shaping up already? And then under here. Under there. And notice I've been using pretty much the same brush the entire time. Like it's not, you know, there's nothing crazy here. It looks impressive when it's all done, but really like it's not that hard. That's why when I teach this, I say I'm like the Bob Ross of zombies. Like it's, you know, make it what you want it to be. Just a happy little zombie right here. And then I really go where there's like this shape that I can follow. Like I can feel the shape with the brush, and I'm not using extra to do it. I'm just using what's left on the brush. But it brings it together nicely. Then we know that here, the temples, right? Boom, get in there. Get in there with that dark brown. Make it nice and depressed in there. Take it to like the corner of the eye down there. Same on the other side. Now, even though it helps to be artistic, to be able to do this, it's not required because again, you're following, you know, the natural contours that your face already has. So as long as you stick with that, it's really like anybody can do it. And then we know there's like these right here, right? These depressions here. It's almost like this. Okay. Almost like a rounded area right up there. Don't ask me the names of the bones of the face right now because October's a really long month for me. And I don't remember all of them right now. This is the busiest month of the year that I have, so I'm lucky I remember my name when I wake up in the morning. Okay, I'm gonna bring that down there, you know, because you're a zombie. You want to look a little concerned too, a little like, oh, look, just go with my natural aging, right? Actually, I'm gonna dip in here for a little bit of this cream in there. Mother Nature did this for me. I'm just accentuating it. Okay. Now I might blend at times with my fingers because it's my own face. Don't do that if you're doing makeup on somebody else. Keep your fingers off their face. And don't blow on anything either. Ugh. Especially now. Although you shouldn't really be doing someone else's makeup. Like nobody should be going to parties right now. You know, there's still a pandemic, right? Going down here. Okay, now to the neck. This is another easy one. So we have this. We have these right here. These, what are they called? Tendons, ligaments, I forget. And then here, and then here. And like there's a lot of places to work with here that really, and if I wasn't wearing a high neck t-shirt, I would show you like the ribs you can do with this and everything all across the sternum and the collarbone, the clavicle. Remember that word. But we'll do here, okay? And you'll see just how this kind of brings everything together doing this. Because just like with doing regular makeup, you don't want that line of demarcation at the chin, right? You want to, if you're a zombie, own it. Like it doesn't stop here. It goes wherever it shows, right? So hands, everything. It's not hard to do. Again, you follow the body's natural spaces and you just go with it like that. There we go. I'm gonna do that right there. Boom. Look, zombie. Look at this. Boom. Zombie. I'm bummed that Halloween is not going to be the same this year as it was in the past. Honestly, this is my favorite holiday. Halloween is my Christmas, basically. But what can you do? I'm just going to end up eating all the candy that I bought for trick-or-treaters. Which I'm kind of making that sound like that's different from any other year, but it's not. Look at this. See that? Look at that. You can, even if you can do this like that, like, ooh, really accentuate those bones if you can. And then, you know, if you're going to take a picture, like if you're doing this for your Instagram or something or whatever, try to stand like that. Really get it like, you know, very like protrudy like that. I know that's not really a word. So if you have any kind of like brown paint, cream, makeup, powder, dirt powder, black eyeshadow, brown eyeshadow, you can really do this with just about anything. Look at that. Look, very zombie, see? Doesn't matter where I go. It looks zombie, right? Looks very sunken in. I'm going to bring this down a little bit more. There and there. You can even highlight the spaces that you have. I'm going to dirty up my lips a little bit because I want these to look kind of sunken in. Look at that. And then here too, I almost forgot the nose. I like to darken the nostrils and really kind of like narrow the nose a little bit more here. And kind of just like bring it like this. Because really, if you were a zombie, this is going to start like, if you were a zombie, like that's, if you were really a zombie. But if you're a zombie, think about it this way, like certain parts of the face are going to start to recede skin is going to start to recede in certain areas before others. And that would be like soft tissue areas like the nose and the ears. And on the topic of the ears, don't forget to do the ears. I'm not going to do my ears. You know why? Because it is a pain to clean this out of your ears later. It's bad enough I forgot that like I was going to have to drive around like this, but I'm not doing my ears. But if you're going to do your makeup, do your ears. Again, rules that apply to general, like regular makeup pretty much apply to this also if you want it to be convincing as can be. All right, I'm going to take actually this one. No, I'm going to take this one. I need a little brush. Let me get my little brush. This is my makeup, so I can dip into it. And I'm going to take this dark brown. You could even do like some powders you can mix with water. Some powders you can't mix with water. Try mixing water with it and you'll find out very quickly which you can and which you can't. And if you have a powder that is water soluble that you can make kind of a paste out of, you can even paint with that. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to do this dark color, which I know you probably can't see that well, but I'm giving myself lines here to give me that kind of lip pucker look. On the outer, like that, like a little bit of that. What is it? Like a little Billy Butcherson kind of. Oh, second Hocus Pocus reference in one night. Can you tell that I like that movie? It's a classic. And I'm gonna get a little bit of this light color, and I'm gonna just go over my lips with that. Beautiful. And back in here with this. For those lines, for that pucker kind of look, and a little bit more darkening in here. And let's see, I'll do a little bit more darkening there and there. And then that's pretty good. So if you get the contour dark enough, like so, you don't really need to worry too much about the highlighting because you see you're working with your natural skin tone there. Or what you can do is a lighter foundation over your whole face to begin with, and then go in with your darker colors. Okay, so now let's do a little bit of the latex. I'm gonna show you the way I like to do it. So some people go a little like latex crazy when they're doing zombie. And either you go full out latex and tissue and you recreate something over your whole face doing that, which looks okay, you know, pretty good depending on how you do it, or you can use it strategically to just kind of enhance the look that you already have. So I like to use it in a way that makes it more, almost more like realistic. Like I like to kind of imagine that if I were a zombie, maybe I was like laying in the grass or in the woods or something like that, and so before I was reanimated. So naturally, like this side would have more decomp than this side. Just kind of going with like, it wouldn't necessarily be symmetrical. You know, there would be something if like it were raining and it came from that. Like you try to give your zombie character a backstory and go from there. So I instinctively always go to the side, usually because I think it's because I usually wear a nose ring on the side. So I just always latex this side more because that kind of gets in the way, but I'll show you. So I'm going to go around my lip area. Again, soft tissue areas, right? That's where we would get decomposition first, yes? So I'm going to do this up here. And then the nose. That's important, especially under here. Oh, it's already starting to do that thing where it lifts and peels. It's drying pretty quickly, which is nice. Low humidity in the room today. And then maybe a little bit like around the eye area, up here. Just gonna pat it out a little bit. So it's gonna give a little texture. Can you see how that already is kind of like, it makes sense, I think, when you look at it, when you see it, it makes sense more so than like a giant slab of latex on the forehead or like a big like slit throat kind of thing, which you could do that with this if you wanted to. Your zombie could have a slit throat, sure, but contextually for a zombie, I feel like it just kind of makes sense to have like a small wound somewhere and then the zombification everywhere else, for lack of a better word. So I'm gonna just do a patch here for texture. Now you know I have the contour underneath already. This one is going to dry again because this is the flesh tone. It's going to dry with a little bit of a like that pinkish kind of base, which isn't terrible, but you know the other one dries a little bit clearer. The like eyelash glue, if you use that, it'll dry clear. And because you don't need a ton of it, you can use eyelash glue again if you wanted to. You don't have to buy a whole bottle of liquid latex. But so now I'm going to go in with some of my zombie colors. And let me just take some of this. And then I'm going to get my brush. And I took like an off kind of greenish tone, and I'm going to take this yucky gray. I took this like olive green color, and I'm going to take this grayish, maybe like, I don't know, puce tone. I don't really know what color to call it. I'm going to take the green first, and I'm going to use the regular mirror that's behind me for this because I want to be able to see what I'm like actually doing color wise. And I'm going to go in with that. And I'm just going to, and we're just about done here. I'm just going to get the color down a little bit. And then we add the blood. So the reason I'm coloring the spots with the latex with the green, again, is because I'm thinking about decomposition. And so you can do modeling, that's mottling, modeling on the entire face if you wanted to get that death look. It depends on how much time you really have. Now, because I'm going to wrap things up, we don't have a crazy amount of time, I'm just going to do these spots because you can just have the color around your decomp areas. I don't know if you guys can actually see how cool that looks, but it looks, trust me, it looks really good. And then I'm going to take a little bit of this off. Just going to give myself a little space in there and get my blood in there. And I like to get the blood up like around the nostril area because I feel like that would just be, you know, appropriate. And I like to kind of pat it in. This blood's a little bit redder than I would normally like. I usually like the one that's a little bit darker, like it's called like deep venous blood, or even like it's called like fresh scab, and it's basically like a big clot, which looks awesome. And this I'm just kind of puckering to give a little more detail in this one. You see, I can just, this is just the latex without the tissue. I can just scratch at it. I don't know if you can 100% see that, but I can just kind of scratch at it and give it like a pull there. And then take a little bit of this. My brush, there it is. I'm going to darken it a little bit in there. Give me some blood over there. I got a little bit of a drippage. It's okay. You could even do blood coming out of the ears, blood coming out of like the eye area. They even make, you know, blood for the eyes that you can use. And let's just see if we can complete this look. Like this. Now, it's always important to have clean hands when you're putting contact lenses in, which is why I'm going to use a finger that doesn't have fake blood on it. So this is how I like to complete my zombie look. Zombie eyes. I think these are actually called zombie. I do have the ones that also have like the solid white that you can't see out of, which is why I'm not using them right now, because obviously I need to see what I'm doing. But They look pretty cool. What do you think? I think that's a pretty killer zombie. I think it would work nicely for any party. Wedding, sweet 16, you know, retirement party. Actually, that might be a little like inappropriate. But zombie. So don't forget, you can do the tissue and you can layer it with the latex. You can do the latex by itself to do like little pulley kind of like scabby areas and funness like that. You can use light red blood. You can use dark red blood. You can use a cream contour. You can use a powder contour. You can use eyelash glue if you don't have liquid latex. I recommend the tissues that are not white but the off-white. And that, ghouls and boys, is pretty much it. So enjoy your Halloween. Happy Halloween. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and stay healthy and happy, and eat some extra candy just for me.